My name is Diana Johnson. I'm here from Three Rivers Legal Services. We're a local legal aid organization here. We serve Alachua County, of course, and also 17 counties total in Florida. I believe it's 17. So we're available to a lot of the citizens here in Florida, providing free legal services to people who qualify. Generally, we're serving the low income community. So I have some info. Oh, this way, right? Too many times here. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about our eligibility requirements. Like I said, we're here to provide free legal services to the low income members of our community. And we do have some eligibility guidelines that I'll present today. So generally, we're looking at the federal poverty limit, the income, federal poverty, bleh, the federal poverty guidelines, sorry, regarding income. So if it's generally up to 100% of the federal poverty guidelines for income, up to 200% if you have a qualifying expense. Those expenses are things that like everyone has to pay: rent, mortgage, childcare. So I encourage everyone to apply. We try to make sure that we can try to serve people in our community that could potentially qualify. And we have a lot of different grants that are available that allow us to serve our community. So the income guidelines, it depends on the size of your household, how many people live in your house, and how many people you support. And there also are asset limits. As far as income goes, the income that's going to be included when we're considering whether or not you are eligible includes any sort of wages or salary that you make from your job, and any sort of self-employment, regular payments from government programs, any benefits that you receive, Social Security, unemployment, and workers' compensation. So any income that you're bringing in regularly is gonna count against that income guideline. It also is veterans benefits, training stipends, alimony, child support. These are all included when we're considering whether or not you qualify for our services regarding the income. Um, Other forms of financial support, that are not considered income are going to be the value of food or rent that you receive as part of your wages. If your job provides housing to you, that's not included as income. Money withdrawn from a bank. If you withdraw money from your own account, every month, a certain amount that does not count as income. Tax refunds, gifts you receive from family members, potentially if maybe they're helping you pay your expenses, compensation from insurance, or non-cash benefits of some kind like food stamps and things like that. Those are not included as income. Y'all can stop me if you have any questions about these income guidelines, but I do have some rough numbers here. These are from last year because the numbers are updated in January. So this will give you sort of an idea of whether or not you might potentially qualify. Again, it's based on the number of people in your household. So you can see the approximate yearly income as well as what your monthly income would look like if you fall within the 200% or below these numbers for qualifying. Okay. And then the asset limit is about $8,000. It goes up depending on how many people are in your household. Again, I really encourage everyone to apply because we have a lot of different funding sources and we really try to help the members of our community. And we'll find a way to fit you in to try to see if we can serve you. So, I encourage you to apply, at least call. It doesn't hurt to call. The worst thing we could do is say no, but or give you the Florida Bar referral line so you can at least still have a resource for reaching out to an attorney to assist you. So, okay, things that aren't considered assets, your home doesn't count. The value of your home is not going to be taken into account here when we're determining whether or not you're eligible, as well as any vehicles that you use for regular transportation. For example, if or for your income, like if you're a trucker and you own a truck, that's not going to count as an asset against you for these purposes. Intake is done by phone for the most part. We have our phone number here. The one that begins in 866 is our helpline number, as well as our number directly to the Gainesville office is that 352 number there. So we screen everybody, enter everyone into the system so we can determine whether or not you're eligible for one of our grants. Thereafter, you'll be scheduled for an interview, likely with one of our paralegals. And if we decide to accept your case, then you'll be assigned to an attorney. There's like a whole intake process that we go through to determine whether or not you're eligible and whether or not your case is something that we could accept based on our qualifications. We have about a 2-month wait list. There's two attorneys working in Gainesville right now, myself and Nina Palmer, who's over there as well. So if you apply for services at our office regarding estate planning or heirs property, it'll probably be one of us. So we'd love to say hi to you. Please say hi to us after the presentation, and I can answer any questions that you have too. We do take emergencies into account when we're assigning cases to an attorney. If your family member needs estate planning and they have a terminal condition, and time is of the essence, we do take that into account as well. So please don't think it's too late for any family members. It's like, oh, I wish we'd done it sooner. Please try to call us. We'll make sure it happens for you if we're able to help as soon as possible. I'll draft them up. I'll work after hours. I do that all the time. I just want to make sure things get done for people. We learned a lot tonight about the problems that can happen. That was a great illustration earlier with the family showing the fractionated property, and we want to avoid that. How can we avoid it? Okay, and we talked about estate planning for doing that. So there's a couple different ways, and several of the presenters have commented on a last will and testament. It's good to have a last will and testament, and but a common misconception is people say, "Oh, I have a will. I don't have to worry about probate." That is not the case. When you have a will, the will tells the court how to distribute property. That says, this is what I own and I want it to go to these people. But the will does not make that happen automatically. You still have to hire an attorney or file something with the court so that those assets can be properly distributed. It just tells the court what you want. It's good to have a will. I want you to have one. I want you to call us. I want to do one for you. But there's more things we can do to try to avoid the probate process that Tyler talked about. The will just informs what happens during the probate process. When you're doing a will, one thing you should think about is who you're giving this property to. So if you have, we saw everybody up here holding the string with the property. We want fewer people holding that string because it's going to make everything easier when they're trying to decide what to do with that property. If you have 5 or 6 children, think about your 1 or 2 most trustworthy children to leave this property to, that you and talk to them about what you want with this property. If you decide to leave it to one of your kids and you know that that child is going to do right by the rest of your children, talk to them about it. You can leave like a letter with your wishes. It's not legally binding, but it is useful so that your children know what you want to happen with that property and we can avoid everybody holding the string because everything is easier when only one person is holding the string, right? As we want to avoid. So who's the best able to maintain it? Just like we were talking about with the taxes, who do you trust to keep track of when the taxes are due? Who's going to be able to pay those and make sure that the property remains in your family, remains maintained? We want to make sure that that property is still serving your family as long as it can. Can you give different beneficiaries different property to show you love them equally? That's up to you. Think about that. You might have other assets, like a car might be useful to another family member, but this house, you might have 1 or 2 kids that you have in mind that are going to do right by your family to make sure that that house is maintained. So the last will and testament, I'm going to skip to the ladybird deed. The ladybird deed is a great tool for passing your property onto your family members without the probate process. When you sign a ladybird deed, that's a deed for your property where you're saying, I own this house for the rest of my life, or maybe me and my spouse and I own this house for the rest of our lives. But when I pass away, once both of us are gone, we want it to go to this person. And you name that person right there on the deed. And you get a life estate, meaning you own it for the rest of your life. But then you name a beneficiary on that property, and that person gets it when you pass away, and they don't have to go to probate. It's called a ladybird deed. We do tons of these. They're so useful. So you still do a will that says who you want to get the property, but you have that ladybird deed. That's what's going to transfer the property without needing to go to court, without the probate process.